a public vote to pre-approve the budget. Alo ba government renale Humphrey Bose le Khosi Moremang from the opposition side. We have Onika Ntswija Khosi Tsholofelo. Ladies and gentlemen, ta ke tsena go ke le dumedise ke bo ke le amogele mo studio mo right.
Dumela Botswana ate.
Era ngwe hela re simolle go tsena ka yone ka thamallo hela mo stogong tsa letsatsi la gompieno. Re ta simolla hela from the government side ke tsa gore ke ene Humphrey Bose.
Humphrey Bose.
The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. This House would have a public vote to pre-approve the budget. So it's evident that every year and year after year, ever since I was born, every time after the budget speech, there's massive public outcry and criticism towards the public. What we can evidently say is that this has not had any bearing on the outcomes of that public budget, on that budget speech. We think this is massively problematic. We think it has translated to why, to a greater extent, the public budget hasn't been able to meet some of people's needs. What we are going to be arguing for opposition is why there's an importance in having people have a massive say and increasing and maximizing that say. But more importantly, why is it legitimate for people to disapprove of the budget? This will be the contention in today's debate. So at opening government, we're really going to be arguing at Prime Minister's speech majorly for one thing, the importance of public approval. And I'll argue this in two ways. Firstly, I'll just mention why the public is far too much of a stakeholder in this, and why that makes it legitimate for them to have an overriding vote. But secondly, I'll talk about why this is important in creating a government that can best suit the need of the people, talking about the importance of compromise in that regard. But in terms of the model, I think it's fairly clear. It means that before the budget comes out, it means people should vote on it, and the one who has a major stakeholder in the vote will be mean that the budget will go on or will not go on, right? So let's go on to the first argument, why the public is too much of a stakeholder. Now, the budget doesn't just translate to some financial things. It means something significant to the life of every citizen in today's world. It affects things such as basic food, water, sanitation, and healthcare. It also affects things like your ability to be able to have a meaningful life and to self-actualize in that democratic society. And we think it's a principle in every democratic society that things that massively affect your life in this way, you should have a say in how they are made, and the decisions that are made in this regard, you should have a strong say in it. This is why we even see public vote on things like creating a government, because it's far much too important to leave it to other people to make a decision on that behalf. So we think because the budget speech directly translate to basic things that affect an individual on almost everyday life, they should have a greater say. Now, I want to posit that we recognize that there supposedly existing mechanisms by which people can have a say. But the argument that we're making is that they're evidently insufficient to deal with people's needs and people's wants. It would be insufficient for opposition to simply say that there are mechanisms that people can exploit, like media, to have their say. But we think that from this massive public outcry, it's evident that those are insufficient. But before then, yes, Zulu.
No.
Okay, I will continue. I'll take you in a minute. But secondly, I want to talk about how this best improves the government to meet its need, right? Mr. Speaker, the government's ability to go forward is based on people willing to compromise and to trade-offs in the interest of that government going forward. But people can only compromise when they know that they have actually had a say in what they are involved about, right? This means that if we see things like the reason when a public budget public speech is made up and there's no increase in the salary, we see most people actually going crazy and not wanting to cooperate with the government, and this makes it less efficient for government to be able to go forward and to be able to tell them what was the problem as a reason why they couldn't actually have the salary increasing. We think that if the people were massively involved and they would understand